Okay, we are going to rock and roll here on step 30. I like steps that have lots of gears and stuff, so transmission building is always fun for me. All right, let's go ahead and choose a place to start here. We're going to start on this portion of the directions with this shaft. You're going to see that it's threaded on one portion and not on the other side. So we're going to hold that just as it is in the directions, and we are going to grab pin number AX3163, which is the smaller of the two pins. And that pin is going to go into this hole right here, not the middle one, but this one here. And then from there, we're going to slide the 32 pitch 19 tooth gear. You're going to see the little X in there, or the little notch in there. Slide that over the shaft until the pin rests in the notch. Just like that. We're going to ignore the bearing for the moment and work on the other side here. We're going to grab the plastic tube AX3100, or actually that's AX1000-3, and we're going to slide it over the end of the shaft just like so. And we are also going to ignore the bearing on the other side. So this is what the unit should look like at this point. Okay, let's build the other shaft. This is the one with the ridges on it. I'm going to set this one out of the way here somewhere where it won't roll around. Okay, so as we look at this shaft, you're going to see two grooves in one end and two holes in another end. So we're going to hold it in this direction, just like it is in the manual. And we are going to take the larger pin and put it through the inner hole here. And then the 32 pitch 34 tooth gear, which is this one right here, noticeable by the grooves in both sides. Let's go ahead and slide that in. And we're going to ignore the bearing on the other side for now. Take the shorter plastic tube, which is the AX31000-1, slide it over, and again we're going to ignore the bearing. So we have the second shaft built. Okay, now go ahead and grab your bearings, and I've already pre-inserted the 3 bearings in here. You're going to find that 2 of them are the same size and one is larger, and the larger one of course goes there where it fits. Very simple to do. Drop the bearings down inside. I say simple. Drop the bearings down inside and press fit them in with your finger. And do the same with the other 2. Just like that. You're going to have that done on both sides. Okay, now which part of the tranny are we going to work on here? We are going to hold this side in our hand, and that is the side with the pin on it. You can see the other side does not have a pin. That one has a pin. And we are going to hold it in what direction? Just trying to orient it the same way as it is in the manual. Boy, it's kind of hard to see. It almost looks like we're working with the wrong side. Yeah, we are. Okay, let's work on the side without the pin. And it's going to hold in this direction. You're going to see this rounded area here towards the back. And what are we going to do first? It looks like we're going to take the big gear and set it down in where the big hole is, just like so. Then we're going to take this small gear, which is the 18 tooth gear, and we're going to drop it into the center bearing, just like that. And then we're going to take the second shaft and drop it down into third place, just like that. Make sure everything's free. And now, what are we going to do next? We are going to get this unit right here. Oops. I was playing around with it earlier and put a bearing in there, but we've already installed the bearing. So it should look like this with no bearings in it. And that, my friends, actually should have a bearing in it. Go ahead and press your last bearing, or we can actually even sit the last bearing down on top of the smaller gear in the center, just like that. So many different ways you can do this, but I just pressed this bearing onto the shaft of the smaller unit. Now let's take the plastic portion here, which is actually, I believe, a spacer for when you put the 2-speed in, that this will probably come out and some gears will be in here for the 2-speed. And this is going to drop down in and line up with these 3 holes here, 1, 2, and 3, just like so. Okay, and we are going to use the small button head screws, and we are going to secure that. Hopefully. There we go. This plastic is tough plastic, and it's hard to get stuff threaded in. I'm going to screw it down just until it touches. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 2 screws here off camera, and we'll be right back when those are done. Okay, I've got the 3 screws in now, and put them in just till they touch. And like I keep saying, anytime that you put moving parts in and you do something, check to make sure that they're not binding. This should spin freely. Okay, let's go ahead and what are we going to do? Put some grease on these before we shut the transmission up. So we're going to get a little bit of the green grease, and just like we do on the others, you don't need a whole bunch. So we're just going to put a little bit on the gear and spin it around. Probably do that in like 3 or 4 places on that gear. There we go. We'll spin it around to distribute lubrication. I guess if you wanted to, well, I was going to say you could pull this gear out and do it, but it's probably just as easy just to drop a little grease in there. I'm going to put a little more in, just to keep things lubed up real nice. There we go. Okay. Now we are going to grab this section, make sure your bearings are still in there, line everything up correctly, get the shaft to go through here. I'm just looking, I guess we really didn't need a bearing in this location here, but that's okay, it's not going to go anywhere. Get everything lined up, get this other shaft to fit through here. and everything should close up nice, just like that. Again, we put pieces together. So let's make sure that everything rotates freely. And at this point, we are going to put the screws in. And there are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. So we'll drop those down in. I'm going to save that one because it's going to fall out until we get it tightened up. Get these screwed in. I have this clutch on this set very, very lightly. You don't want it set too tight or it'll strip the screws out. Okay, so I think we got them all. 2, 3, 4. I was missing one there. And then we have one more that goes in here for 5. Okay. Do we have to put a shorter screw in that one? 48, 48, 48, 48. Just looking at the size, they're all the same. So I guess we'll just bump up the clutch. There we go. Okay. I had that clutch set really loose and it actually did not tighten the screws all the way down, which is fine because you don't want to over tighten them. So we'll go in and finish them off by hand. Screw that in just till it touches. And we're just watching the gap here till it closes. There we go. An electric screwdriver is nice on something like this because you can get the screws most of the way in, but it's really not preferred to torque them down with that. You want to do that by hand so you don't strip anything. So I set the torque at the lightest. Okay, that's in. Let's go ahead and turn everything, make sure nothing's binding up. And the last thing that we have to do is to put in this little peg. And where is that going to go? That is going to go into this hole right here. Take a look, we have this curved section and we have a hole here. And there's a little plug that is going to go in there. So we have just built the transmission. Pretty easy and straightforward stuff. Okay. We have now used all of the bearings in the Axial Yeti XL full bearing kit by Fast Eddie Bearings. Get one today while supplies last.